Hello, world. This is Talkin Live, and we want to talk about the Native Americans. We're glad you tuned in. I hope that you'll continue to subscribe to our Talkin Live YouTube channel. Today, I want to talk about the Native Americans. It's just on my mind about how that America was, created, and how over the Mayflower and all the things that happened to build America when they come to America on ships and they got off here and, up in New York and all there, up on the coast up there on the North Coast. I want to talk about it. And there's so many things to talk about, the American, Native American, about how they were mistreated. Of course, they were trying to survive, and my great-grandpa used to tell my mother about how the Indians would take the Native Americans would take little kids and put a stub in the ground and take a wooden stub and stick it up and kill the children, the white children. But, that was kind of like a war. And that's what the war's about, too. Some look at it this way: they kill children. They're doing it to keep them having to face them later. That's part of war. That's part of having victory. To some countries that have wars, some settlement or whatever it may be. And as I read and have been reading the history of the Native Americans, I see so much cruelty to them, and I ask myself, well, African American people are already complaining. I'm not trying to. Now I'm going to get on that too, and because African American people were mistreated and beaten and hung and all that stuff, I'm going to get on that. And it's not to make you hate or make you despise one another. It's to let you know how that this country has been, and fighting wars and having wars, and ever people being innocent and getting killed and suffering because of wars. And it all began in Washington, D.C., like a big, Bullhorn, Custard, massacre, he used to massacre villages of Native Americans, and they caught up with him. The Indian Native American got together with the Sioux, and they taught Custard that he wasn't the God that he thought he was, and they massacred him. And that's what happens when people get together and try to destroy one another, and it has no mercy on others, like children, women. And Custard has a reputation. I was not there, but according to history, he massacred women and children in the villages of the Native American. And of course, we had other generals and soldiers that done the same thing to the Indians. And of course, we know on the Mayflower that when the European people came to America to take over this country, they didn't come to necessarily take over it, but it kind of got to that point, and massacring all the Indians. And there was 50,000 Indians, American Native Indians, which were massacred at different points, and there was 50 million Indians, Native Americans, was in this country when the Mayflower docked, according to history. And there was so many millions killed. Now, my point is, the Apache, the Cherokee, all the different tribes, the Mohegans, and all the Chickasaw, all those, they were one another's enemy. They lived in the United States, but they couldn't get along with one another. If they'd have united together, this country would have never been America. If they'd have come together and signed a peace treaty with one another, and every time that American people saw they could take something from the Navajo and all the different tribes, every time they saw the opportunity, they took advantage of it. Out in Oklahoma and all of them areas that they're right now, they don't have good running water. They're still suffering. They're doing it out. I mean, I think all the bad things that happened to see, my point is that America was built on blood. This country was built on blood. And it come to the point, and it was all about freedom. But from the beginning, it wasn't about freedom. It was about taking over and driving people out of their homes and out of their land that they known for hundreds of years and thousands of years. You take like the Black Hills, that's a sacred ground to the Indians. I think it's for Apache. And that ground had gold in it, and so they wanted to drive, and they give them this land. They took it away from them because they saw gold, like in California and Nevada and all these different states. We call them states now. But all the territories that the Indian people would drove out, they signed treaties with them. They made out like they was going to let them live in peace. They put them on reservations. They starved them on reservations. Like the Trail of Tears. The Trail of Tears, they marched all the way from Florida all the way to Oklahoma in the wintertime. 60,000 Indians died of diseases and sickness and froze to death because our country, our nation, Washington, D.C., marched them over there and took their land away from them. It was not just to put them on a reservation. Took them away from their way of life and destroyed it. And destroyed them. And we hear about, and then I want to get on the Civil War. I want to get on how the Americans treated African-American people. Now, I want you African-American people to understand that the Europeans took Indians and Native Americans and shipped them over to Europe as slaves too. So you weren't only slaves. They Shanghai white people and shipped them over and made them slaves. So you're not the only one that had to go through hell. And you did. Your ancestors went through hell on earth. But my point is, America is to that point right now. We're so divided as the Indian nations was, that, and we don't get together. We don't work together no more like we used to. And we'll come to that point that this land may be somebody else's one day. It may be. If we continue letting people come into this country, it will be. We'll become a third world country. You won't have no laws. You can imagine a country or a nation or a city that don't have no laws, no morals, no no mercy on other people. The U.S. government had no mercy on the Indians and this were Native Americans in this country. They had no mercy. Their desire is just like it is now, except I think worse, to take away from those that have lived in certain places. And, you know, I'm for these children that grow up in America come over here and made themselves good citizens, and I think they should be given a citizenship. If they're abiding by the laws and they're working hard to make something out of life, I don't care where they come from, if they're obeying the laws, but if they come over here to take advantage of our taxes and take advantage of our American people, then they don't belong here. And we've had so many wars. We've had the Spanish-American War. We've had all these wars we've had. And all these people, millions and millions of people have died and suffered because of Washington, D.C. And the administration we have never cared about us from the beginning. The destruction of this country. Now, I'd like to say this, that Jimmy Carter passed away, I think, yesterday. I like Jimmy Carter as a person. I think Jimmy Carter was a man that cared about people. But he was not no president. And I give Jimmy Carter the credit for Egypt and the peace treaty between Egypt and Israel. Nobody could do that but him. He did that. He needs credit for that. Not that I just think Jimmy Carter was he was a president, and I respect that, but I don't think he was as good as he should have been. I don't think George Bush was a good president for us. I don't. Either both of them, the dad and the son. I never had much, feelings with them, but maybe a good person. But the president, see, you can be a good person, but if you don't know what you're doing, and you can't rule a country, you can't make a country better than what it is when you got in there. If Donald Trump can't make this country better than what Joe Biden made it be, then what are we going to do? But he's the only choice we had. And I think he was the best choice. And I think Donald Trump will go down in history as a great president. I think Joe Biden will go down in history as the worst president we ever had. But getting back to the Indian nation, this country belonged to them, and the Europeans come in and our ancestors took it away from them. You know, if the Indians would have signed a peace treaty and they give them a piece of land and they kept the white man off of it, like the Black Hills, it's kind of a spiritual thing for the Apache and Navajo and all. But I've been studying, but I didn't get time to over the weekend to study all I wanted to about the Indian people, Native American people. Now, if you go to Chatsworth, Georgia, there's a route that the Trail of Tears came through Chatsworth. Chief Van House is over there. Chief Van House he had slaves. He had Indian slaves. He built that house with the slave Indians. Cherokee Indians built that house over in Chatsworth, Georgia. He had his own plantation. He had his own slaves, and he was an Indian. So slavery is not something new for anybody, any country, any color, any race. Slavery is become or has been and will always be the way of our human race. 6 million Jews was killed because of they were Jewish. And you know, people tell me about that, and I tell them this, you know, I think this happened, and it's happening right now, that the Jewish people are being persecuted because of the war over in the Middle East. They're being persecuted. And I think about the scripture. When Pilate had Jesus up on the balcony, what I understand, and he said to the Jewish people, because see, they was jealous of Jesus. They envied him. And they said, crucify him. And Pilate asked him, should I give you Barabbas and crucify this man? I found no fault in it. I washed my hands of it. And they said, no. Let that blood be on our hands. Let that blood be on our children. And so that's what happened. 6 million Jews died in Germany because that blood of Jesus Christ was on the Pharisees, the hypocrites, and all these things. My point is, people are dying right now because of bad laws, bad government, no feelings, no mercy, no heart for one another. We have, as Billy Graham said, we have a sickness. The human race has a sickness. It's called sin, and it dwells in us if we let it. But there's a way out through Jesus Christ. But see, my point is, and I can get into, all the wars, the Spanish-American War, and all these different people dying. Dying. In the Civil War, 600,000 people died in the Civil War. And it was because they were divided. My point is, America is divided by color, by race. And they have that hate that they won't give up. They, the people of America, I'm talking about, won't come together and love their country and love their country fellow man and woman. You know, I heard that Elon Musk wants to bring people from Europe and different countries that are really educated and has the knowledge that can build things. In other words, their IQ is real high. They can do things that some of us can't do. But we have Americans here that are smart people. We have Americans here that there's children out there right now that take a iPhone and be 4 or 5 year old and wipe you out. They can sit down on a computer or a laptop, or they can sit down on, because the Bible said in the last days, knowledge shall increase. And it's increasing. To me, you will see robots, you'll see all kinds of things. This AI will work these robots, and they will power their brains that's built in them, we're going to see a lot of things that we never thought we'd see. And it all began on the Mayflower, on the wars that people died in this country. And look at it now. We got people, you know, and I'll say this over and over and over. Donald Trump, if you don't make a law that you can't run for government office if you have a knowledge and want to push communism, they should never, ever let anyone, no freedom, it don't have nothing to do with freedom. It has to do with keeping our freedom, to put a stop to these congressmen, congresswomen being in office that side with the Communist Party. They don't need to be in this country. They don't need to have a job in the city, the county, the government, whatsoever, if they don't believe in freedom like we have. If we don't put a stop to these radicals, these enemies of America going to our office, we're going to lose a lot of freedom. We'll lose it all. It'll be just like the Native Americans. And you know, they brought diseases on the Native American people. The Europeans, they died of diseases, and you know, Native American people use herbs and stuff like that. And they still do, I understand. Like China, they use herbs. And they are smart on treating things that pills will do to you and cause you to have other things. I believe in herbs, and I believe in, but there are some things people have to take medicine for that they can't get past it. And we accept that, but, you know, we just wish that when we take something, it won't cause something else. There comes a time, you know, whatever we do for our body, you can't fix it. And I hate to say it, but I have a cat that I had a long time, and I went and took him, and he's got fluid on his heart, and he had fluid in his belly, and I treated him. I give him everything. I tried my best I prayed for him, and you know, and I just took him to a vet today, and they said, well, we can do this. You can spend $2,500 on him, but it's just going to come right back. His time is coming. So he would have smothered to death, so I have to put him down today. He would have smothered to death on the fluid that was around his heart, and I couldn't let him do that. As much as I hated it. He was a cat that, like, you holler at him, his name was Ricky, and he'd come to you. But I found out in life, don't know how much you love, how much you desire to keep things, you can't keep it anymore in this world. Something comes along and takes it from me. I mean, sometimes it's hard to even have love for anything or anybody anymore because it's a heartbreaker. Sometimes love is. But God is love, and I believe that everyone should love one another. I'm talking about losing people. I ain't talking about the ones you love, losing your dad, your mom. I'm talking about that. And can you imagine all the children that was massacred? I'm getting back on the same subject, but the issue is still the same. Our government our people that's supposed to look out for us don't do it. And I'm expecting Donald Trump. I know Donald Trump ain't God. He ain't no angel. But I like his policies. I like some of them I don't like. I'm kind of feared about Elon Musk because Elon Musk is kind of a penny pincher, and I feel like that. And no disrespect for people from India, the guy that's going to be with Donald Trump and work with Elon Musk, they're penny pinchers too. I work with them. I dealt with them, and they just believe in squeezing that dollar and that nickel until the old saying is a buffalo hollers. And I just hope they don't cut people out of Social Security and Medicare and those things that they need to survive on, food stamps, whatever it is. But there's a lot of people that abuse it. And that's the ones they need to go after, not the ones that don't abuse it, that deserves it. And I want everybody to know that Talkin Live is spreading out, and you can watch Talkin Live on channel 398 in Chattanooga. We're working on the full day. We're doing so many things. Have a program every day on the whole show where you can watch it, and working with EPB. And so I am looking to expand. We have music on for you. Some of it, you might say, well, we have a lot of gospel on there, but we have some like country, like telling the story. Like George Jones, the song said he stopped loving her today. He put the wreath on the door. It was telling the story about a man that loved his wife so much that left him. And he loved her until he died. That's the story to me. Matt Davis talking about looking in the mirror and saying how he's so wrapped up in himself and how beautiful he was. He loved to be alone with himself. That's a lot of people today. It's a story. And in the ghetto with Elvis Presley, that's a story. It's not just a song, but it's a story of how life is in America and how we live. Another show I will do, and I'm wanting to get on it. We will get on. I got to do some more studying. I'm going to start taking the time out to do more professional shows and talk to people. We're looking for more guests to come on. We're sending out an invitation for the new coming year. And we want everybody to have a great new year. We hope that when I say happy birthday, happy a New Year or a Merry Christmas, may God give you another one. Many more. I close with that. And this year this day I close with this year. When it ends, may God give you a happy new year and many more. And the same with Christmas, all the holidays. May God give you another and many more. God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on all Talkin Live presentations are those of the host and their guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of the Talkin Live TV broadcast studio, or by this channel or its management.